You do put this in? Okay. My name is Sarah Vanderwicken. I'm your worship associate for today. My pronouns are she, her. Whether this is your spiritual home or you are newly discovering this community, we're really grateful to share this time together. We strive to be an inclusive and welcoming community seeking truth and love and nurturing the human spirit for a world made whole. We are guided by our principles and values, which remind us in every moment and through every challenge that each of us is worthy of love and that we are all connected through the vast and beautiful web of existence. We come together to remember our kinship with one another and to hold one another in heart and mind with tenderness and careful attention, and to dedicate ourselves more fully to living our shared values. Welcome to those joining us on the online. We hope you have your chalices ready. People of all ages are a welcome and important part of our faith community, and we are blessed to have the children in the sanctuary for the first half of every service, and the entire service is for all ages about once a month. The nest in the front is our designated area for families and with young children, where we have quiet fidget toys and activities and a kid-friendly order of service. Nursery care is available every Sunday in room 11 in the lower level, which you can access via the stairs at the back of the sanctuary. As part of being a welcoming and inclusive community, we have some information posted on the screen that will help orient you to UCE and our service. A few announcements. The Endowment Committee wants to share the grants that were approved in June. For congregational support, they approved $10,000 for UCE building repairs and improvements, and $4,000 to provide scholarships for the Alabama Living Legacy Pilgrimage. They also awarded 7 community project grants to the Haitian Community Organization for their back to school event, for the Abortion Access Team to assemble post-abortion care packages for the Chicago Abortion Fund, for the Food and Shelter Team to provide bag lunches 3 times during the 2025-26 fiscal year, to the Gitchigamian Indigenous Nations Museum toward development of an exhibition and programs, to the Immigrant Solidarity Team for refugee family housing and support. And if you were here a couple Sundays ago, you understand how important that is. To help a member of the UUPMI Solidarity Circle get out of debtor's prison. And to Kurt's Cafe for necessary renovations. We're so grateful to the Endowment Committee, to the generosity of our congregation and ancestors who have and continue to support the Endowment Fund, which recently reached $2 million, and for the community partnerships we're able to nourish through it. And now, let us settle into our shared time of reflection, celebration, and inspiration. As we begin our worship service, those joining us online are invited to gather your chalice as we join in beloved community. Welcome to worship.
To be humble, to be kind, it is a giving of peace in your mind. To a stranger, to a friend, to give in such a way that has no end. We are loved, we are one, we are how we treat each other. that the heart can still be saved, and the darkness can come quick. The danger's in the anger and in the hanging on to it. We are love, we are one, we are how we treat each other when the day is done. We are peace, we are war, we are how we treat each other, nothing more. And tell me what it is that you see. A world that's full of endless possibility. And heroes don't look like they used to. They look like you do. We are love, we are one, we are how we treat each other when the day is done. We are peace, we are war, we are how we treat each other, nothing more. We are how we treat each other, nothing more. We are how we treat each other.
Is that cool? The Unitarian Church of Evanston resides on the traditional homelands of the Council of Three Fires, the Ojibwe, Odawa, and Potawatomi nations. The land where we sit was transferred from the local Potawatomi community to the U.S. government in 1829, sold to white settlers, and then after the defeat of a pan-Indian movement to keep white settlers out of the Great Lakes region, the Potawatomi community had no choice but to sell before being forcefully removed west of the Mississippi River. We also remember the ancestors of contemporary African Americans, the individuals, families, and networks of Black people who built up our country's culture and economy, which was a role forced on them originally by enslavement. We are indebted to their labor and unwilling sacrifice, and acknowledge the tremors of that violence throughout the generations, still felt and witnessed today. We offer these acknowledgments as one small effort toward building long-term solidarity with contemporary communities. We commit ourselves to incorporate these admissions into our lives and turn our thoughts into action. Please join in our words of shared commitment. We name these realities with honor for all the ancestors, respect for our descendants, and gratitude for the land we use as sacred space. Cheryl Mounts and Carla Williams brought flowers and light the chalice today to celebrate the joy of friends and family, those by birth and chosen. As they light our chalice, symbol of our living tradition, please join in saying the words on the screen by Edward Everett One. Everything, but still I can do something. And because I cannot do everything, I will not refuse to do the something that I can do. Please rise in body or spirit and join in saying the words of our covenant. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. Before we sing our opening hymn, I invite those joining us online to greet each other in the chat and those gathered here in the sanctuary to turn to one another briefly to say good morning, trying to greet someone who is new to you. I'm sorry. Oh, did they hear me? Was I hearing me?
Just make sure.
I'm going to take this back and forth.
Please stay after the service and continue your conversations. And if you're new to UCE, please stop by the welcome table at the back in front of the mural to answer your questions and help orient you to our community. Our opening hymn is number 317, We Are Not Our Own. This morning's Time for All Ages is The Tower by Richard Paul Evans and illustrated by Jonathan Linton.
There was once a young man who desired to be great, but he didn't know how to be great, so he went to the oldest, wisest man in the small village where he lived. What is it to be great?
To be great is to be looked up to, said the old man.
So the young man went and built a platform in the center of the village and stood on it. Now everyone must look up to me. But that very afternoon, a very tall man walked by. I must build a taller platform, the man said. He sawed off a bamboo pole and added longer legs to the platform. Now he could see the top of the villagers' heads. Now I am greater than they, he said, looking down on the people. They must all look up to me.
Not I, said a small voice. He glanced around and a little girl stared at him, down at him from the window of a pagoda.
This will not do. What I need is a tower higher than anything ever built in this village.
He chopped down an entire forest of trees and dragged them to the top of a hill. He worked long and hard every day. He did not have time for friends or for family or for sunset walks along the river. Whenever someone approached him, he said, "Do not bother me. I am building a tower." Eventually, everyone stayed away.
After many seasons, the young man finished his tower. It stretched high into the air, high above the village. It was taller than the pagoda of dragons, higher even than the emperor's palace. Now everyone must look up to me. I am the greatest man in the land.
There was room for only one at the top of the tower, and the young man soon found that he was lonely. But he told himself it didn't matter, for a great man must often walk alone. Besides, he reasoned, why would he want to associate with those who were so much lower than himself?
One day, a bird flying by saw the young man on top of the tower. It flew down and lit on his knee.
"What are you doing up here?" the bird asked.
Well, I'm a great man.
"Is that so?" said the bird. "A great man is uncommon and a good thing. I've always wanted to see a great man." The bird flew around the man, looking at him closely. Then it landed again on his knee. "Excuse me for saying so, but I do not see anything that is so different from you and any other man. What makes you so great?"
Well, let me explain. I am much higher than everyone else. All must look up to me. He pointed to the people in the village below. See how small they are from up here?
"It would appear so," said the bird, "but then perhaps from the ground you appear small to them."
Well, no matter. I'm still above them all. While they crawl with the animals and work their low fields, I sit above them in the clouds.
"You are high indeed. It is a long way to fall."
I will not fall. This tower is strong.
"All towers fall," said the bird, "with time. You may be as great as you say, but I know of one who is greater. She is an old woman far below. She could never climb such a tower, but even we birds look up to her."
If she's down below, how can she be looked up to?
"I cannot explain it, but it is true."
The bird's words bothered the man. He decided he must see this woman for himself. He woke very early the next morning and climbed down from his tower.
He found the woman, and to his surprise, she was small, old, and withered. Her clothes were ragged and poor. She was surrounded by birds.
"I have heard you are great."
The old woman looked up, but did not reply.
"But you cannot be great. No one looks up to you except these little birds."
"No matter," the old woman replied.
"Tell me, what do you know of the great man in that tower?"
"All know of him, whether he be great or not. He is nothing to me, but I do pity him."
"Pity? How can you pity a man whom all look up to?"
"I pity him because I think he must be miserable. He spends his life where it is cold and friendless. It is my experience that those who build such towers do not enjoy the climb or the height, but only to be higher than another. Such people must always be lonely."
It's a small price to pay for being great.
"How do you know the man is great?"
Because all can see him, and that makes him great.
"Being seen and being great are not the same thing."
I don't understand.
"To be great is not to be seen by, but to truly see others." The woman threw some bread to the birds and then turned and faced the man. "To be great is not to be higher than another, but to lift another higher."
You speak strange things.
Perhaps, but I am too old to lie.
The man turned and walked back towards his tower and came to a group of children playing. He noticed a little boy sitting on the branch of a tree, apart from the others. The boy looked sad. Why are you not playing with the others?
I'd rather sit here in this tree above them.
But why?
Because it is better to be above them. Someday, I will build a tower like the one on the hill. Then I will be happy.
No, I don't think so. You will not be happy then.
The man walked slowly back to his tower and looked at it for a long time. He thought about the old woman and the little boy in the tree. He then took an axe and began to chop at the legs of the tower. The tower fell easily with a mighty crash. A villager was walking by and stopped to look at the man and the large pile of tangled wood behind him. You know, I am a newly married person and I would really like to build a house. I could use some wood.
Well, help yourself to it. Do you need some help building?
Actually, yes, I could really use some help.
Word of the fallen tower spread throughout the village. There were many in need of wood, and the man shared freely of his tower with all who asked, turning no one away. The whole village was changed by his gift.
As the man delivered up the last of his wood, he overheard one villager say to another, "Look how freely this man gives." You know what they say of him?
What's that?
It is said that he is truly a great man. I invite us now to settle into our time of quiet reflection as we share our joys and sorrows. Please take a moment to settle our minds and bodies and breathe in together and breathe out. Let's do that one more time. Breathe in through your nose and breathe out. If you would like to share a joy or sorrow on a Sunday morning, you can email me, fill out the form found on the Google page, the homepage of our website. And I am so sorry, I realized this morning, Cheryl let me know, I forgot to put the book out, the actual paper book. So I'm so sorry for that. If somebody had a joy or sorrow that they were planning to write in there, please do let us know and we will share it next week. We listen to these offerings with tenderness and respect and with love and care for one another. We hold one another's triumphs and struggles. And these two were shared ahead of time. The Cancer Support Group mourns the death of Andy Hullinger. Andy, who died on July 4th, was a member of our group for a little over a year. In that short time, he won over our hearts with so many engaging qualities, including a powerful ability to connect with people over shared stories. We will miss you so, Andy. And another loss that I learned of this weekend, Joan Horberg died peacefully on June 25th. She was a longtime friend of UCE with her late husband, Morty. She was an avid bridge player, part of our knitting ministry, and a regular volunteer with the rummage sale. She will be missed. Sharing these concerns of our hearts is part of building beloved community, and we know that those written and spoken joys and sorrows are not the only concerns of our hearts. And so we honor those that are too tender to say aloud by lighting a candle or dropping a stone in the well of tears. There's a station here up front and one on each side. Please go to the one that is closest to you, and you can do that now or at any time during the service. And if you would like a candle brought to you, please raise your hand and we will bring one to you. For these joys, we give our thanks, and for these sorrows, we give our love. I invite you to join me in the spirit of prayer and meditation, this written by the Buddhist teacher, Thich Nhat Hanh. Let us be at peace with our bodies and our minds. Let us return to ourselves and become holy ourselves. Let us be aware of the source of being common to us all and to all living things. Evoking the presence of the great compassion, let us fill our hearts with our own compassion towards ourselves and towards all living beings. Let us pray that we ourselves cease to be the cause of suffering to each other. With humility with awareness of the existence of life and of the sufferings that are going on around us, let us practice the establishment of peace in our hearts and on earth. And let us hold a moment of silence together. Amen, and blessed be. Our response, number 413, Go Now in Peace by Natalie Sleeth, is what we'll sing our children out to. You're invited to join our faith formation time in room 3 with our adult leaders. We say in our covenant each Sunday, service is our law. UCE is called by our mission, values, and principles to contribute to our community, to form accountable partnerships, and to express gratitude through giving. Today's offering will be shared with Open Communities, which works to eradicate housing discrimination and unjust practices that perpetuate segregation and inequity. You may text to give, mail in a check, put cash in the collection bowls, or give from our website. If you write a check, please indicate in the memo line if your check is for the shared offering or some other giving. The ushers will now come down to pass the collection bowls down the rows. Please give as generously as you are able, and may what you give bring you joy.
was Precious Lord by Thomas Dorsey. And thank you all for your generosity. The reading is from After the Good News by Nancy MacDonald Ladd. Even a person who professes their smallness all day long and blathers for everyone to hear about the vast extent of their inadequacy is still fundamentally obsessed with themselves. Even a person who loudly proclaims their own weakness can still be guilty of imagining that they're the center of the universe. Even a card-carrying member of the pity party lives in a world in which their own needs, their own hopes, their own failures are paramount, rising above the hopes, the needs, the desperations, and failures of others. To be humble without succumbing to the temptation to belittle oneself. To be small without assuming you are insignificant. To be flawed without assuming you are without worth. Those are some of the challenges that come with a practice of authentic humility. It involves giving a true and unvarnished assessment of oneself to oneself, and not shying away from it in favor of a more dramatic, polarizing, and self-obsessed answer that burdens other people with the emotional labor of having to forgive you all the bleeping time. Humility is the work of knowing who you are, no more and no less. It means being converted over and over again by that truth into a more gracious and relationally connected version of oneself.
The other day, I found a small pamphlet tucked into the railing by my front door. It had 2 stone tablets on the front underneath the words, "Are you good enough?" The word "you" in all caps in red type. And I thought it remarkable that the voice of my inner critic had manifested in this pamphlet at my front door. How did that happen? The answer to that question, found within the folds of the pamphlet, was a resounding no. You are not good enough. None of us are. And because of that undeniable truth, we're all going to hell. Unless we believe Jesus will save us. And I'm not here to argue with that belief system. Well, maybe I am here to argue with that belief system, but I'm not here to put anybody down for what they believe. I just never found it made much sense to me that God would have a test for us to pass, and that test would have something to do with convincing ourselves of an unprovable story. And if we couldn't actually believe the story, our test would simply be to say that we believe, whether or not we actually do, as long as we can fool God into believing we believe in him, as if we actually could do that. And that circular logic just never really worked for me. And although I've shaken that theology, the question on the cover of that pamphlet is one I've continued to wrestle with. Am I good enough? What does it mean to be good enough, or smart enough, or kind enough, or helpful enough? Insert your adjective here. And how do we know when we've arrived? Reverend Kelly Clement shared a story on a recent collegial call about the guidance she received from one of her mentors, the late, great Jan Eller Isaacs. Jan told her the one piece of wisdom she wanted her to retain, if she held on to nothing else, was this: you are enough. And you are not enough. You are good enough, you are smart enough, and you are compassionate enough and loving enough to be here and to be loved. And you are also not enough to fix all that is broken, to solve anyone else's or the world's problems. We are all good enough to be loved. We are all good enough to experience joy and beauty, to make a difference. And none of us is enough, especially on our own, to repair the whole world. Ministry and being human with humility is to live in that tension of being enough and not being enough, to resist the lure of the dueling lies of hubris and complacency on the one hand, and shame and worthlessness on the other. We must practice the truth that we are no better than others and no worse than every other. This tension lives at the heart of our humanist, Unitarian, Universalist tradition. Christianity, from which Unitarianism and Universalism derive, holds a negative view of humanity, that we are all born in sin, inherently depraved, saved from our transgressions only through faith in Jesus Christ, and more specifically through his selfless act of accepting a gruesome and humiliating death. As a response to this theology of human depravity and salvation through crucifixion, Unitarianism and Universalism have developed over the years an increasingly humanist understanding of sin, evil, and salvation. Our UU faith has held a very high view of humanity, that each of us is born not in sin, but with a spark of the divine, and that it is only through our human endeavors, not the salvific death of Jesus or a divine hand, that we can redeem ourselves and this world. We escape our sinfulness, many UUs and humanists believe, through deeds, not creeds. Perhaps the future of our faith resides somewhere between the belief that we as humans are fundamentally depraved and the hubris that holds that we are above all else, that we alone can fix things, that we would be good enough if only we kept working on it. Nancy MacDonald Ladd, a UU minister, and the author of After the Good News, from which our reading this morning was drawn, examines the philosophy of manifest destiny at the root of colonization and conquest in this country. It's the belief in human perfectibility, and particularly in American exceptionalism, which endows us with not just the ability, but the expectation, the God-given right of human advancement onward and upward forever. Every utopian society ever tried and failed begins with the thinking that we can perfect ourselves and society if only we find the right formula and work hard enough at it. The inevitable result of such hubris is exclusion, prejudice, and even eugenics. How do we hold the imperfection that is part of being human with a genuine desire to make things better and alleviate suffering? How do we strive to address the ills of the world without playing God? Where is the middle ground between the shame of inherent depravity and the hubris of attempting perfectibility? We are in a moment. Can I get an amen on that? We are in a moment. And perhaps this is true of all moments. We're in a moment of needing to learn how to hold ourselves and humanity accountable, recognizing the spark of divinity within us all, while also acknowledging and resisting our capacity to enact and remain complicit to unspeakable evil. We are enough. We are not enough. We have inherent goodness, and we are deeply flawed. We have everything we need inside us to meet this moment, and we are all individually inadequate to address the problems we face. Humility is a practice of understanding, as our reading reminded us, that we are not the best and we are not the worst. The only possibility of making ourselves and the world better is to recognize and hold sacred our profound interconnection and imperfection. Humility is not just a personal practice, it is the practice of our faith. It may be what our nation needs most right now. After attending General Assembly in Baltimore, my husband and I spent a few nights in DC and went to the National Museum of African American History and Culture. He hadn't had a chance to visit it yet. And at one point, walking through the exhibits I had visited a few years ago, fresh tears started streaming down my face. I felt in a deeper way than I had before that our country will never heal and find our way toward wholeness until we reckon with and fully acknowledge the evils of slavery and all the ways systemic racism and oppression has and continues to mutate. Without fully recognizing and metabolizing that original sin, we will continue to perpetuate it. And yet those in power right now continue to try to bury the truth, refusing to wrestle with what it means to humbly acknowledge wrongdoing. Humility, unlike shame or humiliation, is a quality of quiet power, a well from which true growth and progress can emerge. Humility means being honest with ourselves about our shortcomings, harms that have been done, and seeking to make them right. Without a humble reckoning, mistakes and shortcomings become humiliation and buried shame. And when a whole nation tries to erase or evade such humiliation and shame, the impacts are devastating. An article written by Rami Majid in the online magazine Psyche that Sarah shared with me explores how national humiliation often leads to war, citing Putin's war on the Ukraine as an example of using a narrative of national humiliation to deflect accountability and conjure the reasons for attack. By contrast, the article explains, after World War II, German Chancellor Willy Brandt famously knelt in Warsaw before a memorial to Polish victims of the Nazis. Some initially saw the act as humiliating, but over time, that attitude gave way to an understanding of the gesture as one of humility, and it led to a more genuine national reckoning and healing. It's hard to imagine anyone in this country's current regime humbly kneeling or even acknowledging a mistake, ever. The president maintains a grip on abusive power by humiliating others, never accepting accountability or ownership for mistakes. It is a false power which cannot be sustained. What he and those who enable his regime do not understand is that millions of people continuously responding to hate with compassion and answering ignorance with humble kindness and curiosity will always be far more powerful than the terror tactics of a scared and arrogant bully. As the Beatitudes say, blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. This does not mean that those who are weak or have low self-esteem will gain power over others. It means true power lies with those who understand that they don't know everything. It means those who are able to learn from mistakes, those who know real power only exists in the spaces between us, that we are always stronger when we remember we need one another. And I want to acknowledge that humility can be a difficult idea for Unitarian Universalists as well as for women and for other marginalized groups. The shaming language of sin has caused many of us pain, carried throughout our lives. It's hard to let go of. But without a willingness to examine more critically where sin and salvation fit into our complex and pluralistic theologies, the ones we hold together, we might neglect taking ownership for our mistakes or set ourselves up for unrealistic expectations. Without wrestling with what it means to be humanly imperfect, we could fall into the hubris of thinking we don't need to examine ourselves, forgive ourselves or others, discern in relationships how to reduce harm or to make space for the life-giving complexity of difference. To live humbly is to know deeply we are one with all, not above or below any. We matter to the whole of life, but we are not at its center, nor should we strive to be. To live humbly is to ask, how can I best be of use? Not so I can prove to myself and others that I'm good enough, deserving of love or accolades, but because I know I am a necessary part of the whole, and I have something to contribute to it. The urgency to overturn injustice may lead us to give up too quickly if we don't make easy progress. And that too is hubris. Thinking that only when our efforts show immediate and dramatic results are they worth doing. Humility is knowing that our small, singular efforts may not seem enough, but we keep doing them anyway. Like showing up on the corner for 30 minutes on a Thursday night. To be humble is to try to do what's right, even when you're not sure what that is, even when your efforts are likely to fail. To be humble is to recognize we probably won't stop the war, end the occupation, silence misinformation, or reverse climate change. But we show up, we speak up, we stay attentive anyway, and do whatever we can. All that is required of us, says the prophet Micah, is to act justly, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with our God. And if God doesn't work for you, Spirit of life, source of love, regardless of how you feel about the language of the divine, I hope that we can all get behind acting for justice. I hope we can all understand that to love mercy is to practice accepting and forgiving ourselves and others. And to walk humbly could mean showing up at rallies or having hard conversations with family and friends or simply carrying on faithfully in your relationships and your work. It could mean deepening your practice of meditation or prayer so that you might be guided to the next right thing. It could be expressing gratitude for the beauty all around us, even while you are holding suffering, pain, loss, and deep sadness. The great chief Seattle leader of the Duwamish and Suquamish tribes said, "Every part of the earth is sacred. Every shining pine needle, every sandy shore, every mist in the dark woods, every clearing and humming insect is holy in the memory and experience of my people. We are part of the earth, and it is part of us." Can you imagine if we truly knew ourselves as part of everything and everything as part of us? If we understood that we are no less and no more sacred than the pine needle and the insect and the dark woods, would we feel called in a way we could not possibly ignore to act justly, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with ourselves, each other, and all of creation? It does no good, not for you or anyone else or life itself, for you to pretend that you are not sacred and magnificent. It serves no one for you to imagine you have less or more of a spark of the divine than anyone else. Hiding your light under a bushel is not humility, it is abdication of your responsibility to be present in this world. It is consent for that light to be doused by the meanness of this world. So practice the humble brag. Notice the spark of the divine within you. Breathe life into it. Share it with others and allow it to kindle their spark. I want to invite us right now to close your eyes and think of something that you feel good about, something you've done, or a quality you possess. It doesn't have to be big. You've got something. It could be as small as you solved connections today and it was a really hard one. Or you made someone laugh. Envision your tiny flame, that bright spark within you. Imagine protecting it. And then imagine sharing it. And if you're willing, turn to the person next to you and tell them what that spark is. If you're not okay with that, I won't pressure you. But if you can, turn to the person next to you. What is that spark? Go ahead. What do you feel humbly proud of right now? Just a whisper. All right, I know this could go on for a long time, so I'm going to cut you off. But I do want you to keep sharing it at kinship time, okay? Before you have your coffee or your snack or when you're meeting new people, just say, "Here's my spark." Little humble brag. What's yours? We are enough, and we are not enough. Let us remember that we are good enough, deserving of the transforming power of love that holds us all. And also, we are not good enough to cease the practice of being more loving, more just, more generous, and kind in each new moment. With humility, may we stay in the struggle to make the world and ourselves more whole. Amen.
As we extinguish the chalice, please join in saying the words on the screen by the Reverend Elizabeth Sal Jones. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Please rise in body or spirit and join in singing our closing hymn, number 16, "'Tis a Gift to be Simple."
Our benediction is by Harry Messerb. From arrogance, pompousness, and from thinking ourselves more important than we are, may some saving sense of humor liberate us. For allowing ourselves to ridicule the faiths of others, may we be forgiven. From making war and calling it peace, special privilege and calling it justice, indifference and calling it tolerance, pollution and calling it progress, may we be cured. For telling ourselves and others that evil is inevitable while good is impossible, may we stand corrected. Spirit of our mixed up, tragic, aspiring, doubting, and insurgent lives, help us to be as good as in our hearts we have always wanted to be. Go making peace, beloveds.